นี้เรามีนักเรียนทั้งหมดกี่คนครับคุณแชมป์
นี่เรามีนักเรียน1 2 3 4 5 6คนครับ
ผู้ชายด้วยผู้หญิงด้วยก็
In the ALG classroom, only the target language is spoken, in this case, Thai, but the teachers are professionals and they're well trained to use actions, writing on the board, body language, and student involvement to help the students keep up and understand. This is a level 1 classroom, and as students can start any hour of any day at any time, this might be the first Thai class that you walk into at AUA Ratchadamri. Why don't you try and watch for about 35 seconds and see if you're able to keep up. And then we'll explain more about the method.
วันนี้เรามีนักเรียนทั้งหมดกี่คนครับคุณแชมป์
นี่เรามีนักเรียน1 2 3 4 5 6คนครับ
ผู้ชายด้วยผู้หญิงด้วยก็เป็นผู้ชายกี่คนครับ
มีผู้ชาย1 2 3 4คนครับ
ผู้ชาย4คนผู้หญิงนะครับ
2คนครับ
ผู้หญิง2คนรวมกันก็
6คน
6คน6คนชั่วโมงนี้ชั่วโมงกี่โมงครับคุณแชมป์
เที่ยงครับ
เที่ยงถึงกี่โมงครับ
เที่ยง50 นาที
เที่ยง50 นาทีห้องนี้ห้องอะไรครับ
418
ห้อง418นักเรียน6คนนะผู้ชาย4ผู้หญิง2แล้วก็ A ที่1 6คนนะครับมีใครบ้างคุณแชมป์
Hi, my name is Antonio Graceffo, author of the book The Monk from Brooklyn and host of the web TV show Martial Arts Odyssey. Today, we're in Bangkok, Thailand at AUA Ratchadamri, and we're talking to David Long, who's the head of the Thai program there, and he's going to tell us about ALG, Automatic Language Growth. And it's one of the best and fastest ways to learn a foreign language if you don't mind investing 800 to 2,000 hours.
คุณพริกนะฮะคุณพริกมาจากประเทศอะไรครับ
อเมริกา
อเมริกาที่ไหนของอเมริกา
นิวยอร์ก
นะฮะผู้ชายนิวยอร์ก
I'm David Long. I grew up in Los Angeles area, California, and moved to Thailand about 22 years ago. Came here doing missionary work and had one huge fear when I came to Thailand was not being able to learn the language well. Whenever I went into study in college, I can remember having Korean people and other mainly Korean, but people from all over the world would come and address the students. And I can remember sitting through hours of talking and not understanding a thing they said. And so when I came to Thailand, I was afraid of being one of those people. So a little bit on purpose, I went to look for anything that was different from what I'd experienced studying foreign language. As a student, I never liked language learning, whether it was study of English or I studied Spanish as a young student. Later on, I studied ancient Greek, and that was not so much fun either.
ผู้หญิงสวย
ฮอนเฮคัง
ฮอนเฮมาจากประเทศ
เกาหลีใต้
เกาหลีใต้อยู่ตรงไหน
เกาหลีใต้
มาจากที่ไหนของเกาหลีใต้
แดกู
อย่างไทยคิวดีนะแดกู
It's just one of my worst classes. So I was highly motivated to find something that was not typical language study. And when I found the AUA Thai program, I in many ways fell in love from the first. It was a program where they said, come in, sit back, let us entertain you. We not give you tests, we not give you homework, and they had won my heart already. So I came into the Thai program as a student at that time, 22 years ago, and that's how I came to Thailand and got involved with the Thai program here.
That's amazing. Yeah, it took me 3 years to get through 4th grade.
You're right. I was a little bit behind you, I think.
So you were here as a student, and then at that time Dr. Brown was actually the head of the program?
Dr. Brown had actually started the program. In those days it was about 2 years old. The ALG program began as AUA's Natural Thai program. That was its name in those days. And Dr. Brown had started that in 1984.
And what was his background?
He was a linguist and physicist. He was connected with the Navy in the days of World War II. and studied something like 20-some languages. As a student of language, he was the opposite from me. He loved language study and learning and was one of those exceptional people that could remember everything, ace the tests and come out in the top of the class every time. So he and I were opposites as students. A little bit interesting.
That's interesting. And then he developed this method to help other people learn languages.
Right, that's correct.
Okay, and could you tell us a little bit about the method?
ALG began because of Dr. Brown's insistence on finding or obtaining perfection in language learning. His desire was to be able to enable students to become native. And after over 20 years of teaching in formal or traditional methods, he realized that practice does not make perfect and went out in search of perfection again. So while as a Thai program we're running for over 40, now 50 years, half of that time was spent solely on a traditional program, and then those two programs actually ran side by side until 1995.
So students had a choice at that time?
They had a choice at that time between a traditional or structural method, we called it the structural approach or SA, and the natural approach, which started in '84, which we called NA.
Interesting.
And, yeah.
Interesting, and also interesting, I didn't realize that you actually used the name natural, because that's what I tell people, it seems to have developed out of natural linguistic theory.
The word natural described us from an inside-out sort of perspective, but the problem is that what we do is so unlike what adults tend to call learning that we're calling on our students to do something that really feels unnatural. It's natural in the sense that we learn this way from the time we're born till the time we die. But it's unnatural in the sense that when we go to school and we think about study and learning, we're doing something completely different here.
คนไทยก็แบบสวัสดีครับเพราะว่าครูแชมป์อายุน้อยกว่าครูแชมป์ปีนี้อายุเท่าไหร่ครับแชมป์อายุ23 ปีครับแชมป์อายุ23 ปีครับแชมป์อายุ23นะฮะครูเน่งอายุเท่าไหร่ครับพี่เน่งปีนี้2009อายุ36 ปีปีนี้2009อายุ36 ปีเพราะฉะนั้นครูแชมป์อายุ23เป็นน้องเวลาเจอพี่เน่งก็สวัสดีครับพี่เน่งครับ
So what we are telling students to do, they feel is quite unnatural. So the word is not very descriptive for most students.
So how many hours is the program?
Our whole program began, it's an interesting question because when I was a student, the big question wasn't total hours because we didn't have a total hours exactly, it sort of grew organically. But the big question was, when do we start speaking? And those hours, the program's based on hours of listening or hours of experiencing Thai. And so we're counting understandable experience hour by hour. And the guess as a student, when I was a student, Dr. Brown was guessing it was about 400 hours. Because students hadn't gone for 400 hours before, and then that went to 600 hours, and then to 800 hours, and it's become evident that in our program, and with comparisons outside of our program with second language learners in the United States, for example, it seems a real consistent thing that at about 2 years or 800 hours, people began to use the language, begin to speak it. By beginning to speak with making a unique sentence on their own, something that wasn't pre-thought or pre-practiced kind of a sentence. So that takes about 800 hours, some people a little bit faster, some people a little bit slower, and all in all our whole program goes for over 2,000 hours. So wow. Students can stay here for quite a long time if they want.
อย่างอังกฤษสิงคโปร์อเมริกาเนี่ยเวลาเจอกันก็จับมือเกาหลี